Can I just say I hate this trilogy and move on? This is Universe Egg issue 3 with a crap Alec Rose cover. And yeah, I hate Alec Rose. I know he is your favourite artist, but he's fucking terrible. He is an overrated act. Remember that feature? This is one of those series where Alec Rose practically receives top credit, even though all he did was draw a bunch of sketches and ugly designs and then painted a cover that has naught to do with the issue. Another writer and another artist had to come along and try to make an actual comic book out of that. Rereading this was an absolute chore, and Universe Egg is actually the one of the trilogy I hate the least. Earth Egg was Mar-Vell's attempt at doing their own tragic kingdom, and it's even more miserable and depressing and soulless and bloated and shit. To the trilogy's credit, the writer has his moments, and the two artists we had doing the interior art are definitely preferred to Alec Rose. But, well, we start with our first despicable thing. Every single issue of the entire trilogy opens with an enormous Kurt Busey-style retconning of a big piece of Mar-Vell lore. There is a lot of smoke and mirrors, and characters having only pretended they are something they are not. The retcons range from stupid to flat out insulting. On one end, you have the reveal that the Excellent Men baddie, Sinestro, is just Steelman from the future. And on the other, the idea that Thor and all his fairyland pals are shape-shifty aliens who imagined themselves as gods because they wanted Earth's worship to feed them. And also that the Earth is a giant egg, which they chose to put in a movie. One of the only reasons I got this comic is because I like this panel here. They had to show a flashback of Ron, Spaceman, and Mar-Vell cannot show Ron Spaceman anymore. And I think they came up with a clever way to show him, but not actually show him here. That is the biggest praise you will be hearing. A lot of this trilogy is text dumps, and the rest is very slowly progressing single scene subplots each issue. By this point into the trilogy, you are just shy of the halfway mark, and you will have noticed the pacing. You see one group of characters for 2 or 3 pages an issue, and their plot actually moves along like a snail. Our main story with Universe Egg, it's the thing that I didn't mind. Our main plot is Captain Marbles, the real one, Mar-Vell. He is embarking on a war to defeat Mistress Death once and for all. There are 2 sides of this complicated campaign, and the one we mostly see in this issue is the side taking place on the world of the living. Captain America joined by Captain Marbles, the real one, Mar-Vell, who has been reborn as a tiny little child. They are tracking down a bunch of power items and MacGuffins, and it takes us to the Savage Land, which was thoroughly retconned at the start. And now we have a dreadful scene with Mr. Magnets being bullied by Frog Boy. And that is our 2 pages with Mr. Magnet and Frog Boy. And now we have Captain America and Captain Marbles, the real one, Mar-Vell, but as a child. They are gunning to the limbo dimension, which was retconned as being linked to the Savage Land for no real reason. And it is here where we get another appearance of Ron's spaceman, this time without much of his armour. This is the last time Mar-Vell ever depicted Ron's spaceman. I think they were fine to show him not as his armoured cyborg design like the original toy. They could show him as a human, and here they even still have him using an arm of his armoured form as well as his gun. There is also some real nonsense and broken mythology here. Ron's spaceman's gun sends things to the limbo dimension. That is what it does. He would shoot one of the shape-shifty aliens and it would send them to limbo. So here, Ron's spaceman is in limbo. For no reason, not explained why he is in limbo. But here, he is in limbo. And he is fighting the shape-shifty aliens that he sent to limbo. And he is using his special gun on them that only works on them and sends them to limbo. So what is it even doing here? What is the gun doing? There is another blatant snafu with Ron's spaceman continuity and his gun coming up. But here is our 3-page sequence slowly advancing the plot, taking place in the land of the dead. All the characters wear disgusting, colour-inverted versions of their costumes. And this is Captain Marbles, the real one, Mar-Vell's other part of his plan. He is uniting heroes and villains in the afterlife to fight with them. And we have an okay bit with Phineas. But introducing Phineas to the story is all that these 3 pages do. And after that, 2 pages of other subplots. And another positive point is that the nostalgia, I'm guessing Alec Rose's nostalgia, it goes just a few years further than someone like Kurt Busey or Tom Bevoort or John Jeffries or Martin Quaid or whoever. And so we get a character like Etrigan the Demon, who was introduced in 1981, and it's refreshing to see a character from after the 70s in a prominent role in these books. I hate what they do with the character, but at least they exposed them to a new audience at the time. And they were not being as disrespectful or dismissive as they are about Cables or Excellent Force or what other 90s things Alec Rose hates. So back in Limbo, we have Satan, and one of our things is that, and this is fucking awful, it turns out that the demon Tabasco is Smurf from The Excellent Man, who is from the future, and he has always been Smurf from the future, even when Smurf of the past battled them. They must have thought they struck gold when they noticed some characters look visually similar to others. So, the other problem with Ron's Spaceman continuity is that his gun was meant to only work in his hands. We encounter an issue first when he is using it with his human hands, but you could easily explain that away. But here we get something that just makes it clear they didn't care much about Ron's Spaceman continuity, because he gives the gun to Captain America, who then uses it in the next few issues, even though it is meant to only work in Ron Spaceman's hands. Something I never considered before is how shoddy these are as single issues. I had only read them in trade paperback collections, and as single issues, they are basically useless. There is no actual story contained within this issue. It is just tiny bits of an overarching thing that goes on tangents, mainly to retcon things gratuitously. What is the point of this trilogy? Who is it for? It is so specific and so destructive. It might be the closest thing to Marvel doing a comic solely for one person, and that person is Alec Rose. Who else would ever want a story where Smurf from The Excellent Man is actually Tabasco? There is at no point love for any of the Marvel characters or the Marvel canon. We have Marvel characters and Marvel canon, but people must be mistaken simply having those things in a comic for having actual love for those things. The love we have here is for massive retcons to everything to build up a self-contained, grand, epic story to end all stories that then never gets to resolve properly because the last issue was shortened, meaning the ending had to be totally changed. This is actually very close to being torn to bits, but I won't do it. I just didn't recommend it. 7 thumbs up. I changed my mind.